Okay, I'm not sure whether this microphone is going to work or not, so I'll just project and do the best that I can. 2:32, March 11, 2026. I'm not going to scratch myself today. Um, Tomorrow, like I said, we have our hearing, whatever you call it. Look, here's the deal. I did not grow up thinking that I would have to, defend myself in court on a day-to-day basis. But this is just this is the way the Lord has it working out. I was visited today by a member of the Rolling Meadows Police Department. That is, documented. This is a complaint that I made with regards to the towed vehicle. Um, like I said, I tried to, you know, properly settle with these people's representation because I thought it was just a regular type of thing. You guys have to remember that I have this place because I got an engineering job that I did not want. My father, the engineering job itself gave you 18 months to move to Cook County. So I could have stacked bread for 18 months in Gilbert's, but my father, the moment I got the job, demanded that I leave the house so that he could put the house on the market. And surprise, surprise, it hasn't sold yet. But um, I'm putting it on the record because I want God to pay him back for his useless Indian greed. He's not a wasp when it comes to greed and these village mentalities that he has. This is a complaint that I filed with the Rolling Meadows Police Department. This was, I believe, March 2nd, and here's the card of Officer Garcia, badge number 272. The complaint number is 2026 RMP 003-750, and I walked to the Rolling Meadows Police Department in City Hall to make sure that I got this. Now, Chase's responsibility with regards to the estate, it's more about my dad and his manipulation of Kerala's you know uh, in the past kind of paperwork system. This is his idea of being clever. And, he doesn't have any guilt about putting me in this position. He justifies it by saying, because I haven't adhered to the British level of, colonial behavioral standards, he feels like this type of thing is justified. And, as long as Stephen adheres to Calvin Candy's plantation rules, the other slaves in the kitchen will, always be subject to the consequences of the hot box. Okay? So whether or not these NDIL case numbers are, fully accurate, if the summons are not, every I is dotted, every T is crossed, um, you know, the fact remains is the Cook County primary election is on March 17th. Today, Rolling Meadows police officer, which I have, video documentation of, appeared with a social worker. Here's the proof of that. Because, when white people are guilty, they need a light skinned person, a biracial person, or a Mexican person to soften the blow of what it truly is, which is systemic racism and prejudice. Okay? So, yesterday, the housing authority that gave me the CBRAP check said they wanted to void it because I'm not trying to move. Documented many times that I don't want to be here. I would never pick this place on my own. Um, but out of good faith to Karina Philippi, my former, contractual business partner, who uses Chase as their business account, and who gave me Bridget Wolf as a client. She was one who recommended this place through her Facebook friend. Remember, I had the 75 member group on Facebook. So this gaslighting has been going on since January 6th, 2025. Okay, and the document in question that's causing all of this fuss was January 19th, 1/19/2024. Okay, so all these numerical things, MWRD has a W-2 discrepancy on my form from one of the years, the tax returns, but that's not the point. Okay, so there was a with regards to this eviction, that hearing is tomorrow. It's about two things. Okay, just like they slid this card under the door when Agnes filed her, extortion trial hearing. What she inadvertently did was admitted that the landlord didn't serve me directly. He slid a 5-day notice under the door. That's point number one. and that's documented with the court now. And secondly, uh, the number on the 5 day notice was 1,300. The number on the eviction complaint was 3,100. So in effect, they tried to double dip on that. And even with all that being the case, I filed for exactly the right program that would have cured it all. And I showed you the text message that showed that I tried to, with good faith, engage with the landlord and say, hey, if you just fill out this form, we'll have all your back rent paid. And that was back in December of 2025. They ignored that just so they could continue to pursue this. On January 31st, I gave them a settlement offer. February 1st, the car was towed, and that's what this complaint is for. And so that's there. I talked to Officer Garcia, badge number 272 there. So it's funny, they're trying to do a wellness check now with a Mexican social worker. But when I went to speak with them at their house, they were very standoffish. And who was the guy there? Uh, the second floor, Fred Dubs. Fred Dubs was the sergeant on duty at that time. And who was the other lady? Well, do I have another lady? 1069, I want to say. It's on 1065. She didn't give me her name, although she asked if she could help me. So this kind of Caucasian, lie and theft and just it's disgusting. I'm disgusted by it. If I could commit suicide and be free from these people, I would do it. But I'm not even keeping my life because like I'm holding some kind of moral authority. I don't have any mental health issues, like I told you. But and I certainly don't want to be like the hero in that sense to set the precedent. I'm not trying to be Aaron Brockovich here. But the it's just you know, I didn't do anything wrong to be put in this situation. As a matter of fact, I did everything to avoid this situation, and I just want that documented for the record. Okay. Um, yeah, Troy Zimmerman used to, get fees from our family for 20 years. 20 years. And he's the one that has the FBI colluding with the, Department of Elgin. There's no reason for Judson University to use the Elgin Police Department as their private security force. Okay, none whatsoever. Okay, so Christopher Beck, we've filled out the ARDC complaint regarding that. I got the FOIA return request from Gilbert's, even though their fire department is directly across the street from Pub 72, where my brake lines were more than likely cut at the end of 2023. Now, the reason that's important is because I got text messages from MWRD saying the assistant civil engineer position was open for, application on December 1st, 2023. December 10th, surprise, surprise, after I, filled out that application, they were so concerned about me getting, autonomous money that all of a sudden the Buick Rendezvous had brake lines that were rotted out. And Mike Moore Miles, if you didn't do anything wrong, then you should be able to give me the technician documentation of what happened when I brought it to the shop. But Victor sounded pretty nervous on the phone, even though you were a flag football player and you had a grade 3 hamstring strain that I was talking to you about, and Ladarius Honorable. That's a convenient name to manage that Elgin location on Dundee. Okay, so they're fine. Zimmerman's fine. Mike Moore Miles is fine. Boron and Zablotnia are fine if we're paying our rent money to them. MWRD, Kaufman, and Goal, and Spoleto, and Blanchard, you guys are fine as long as we're working ourselves to death for you. But when it's time for you to take accountability, because from the same documentation that you taught me how to do, this is documenting everything. And when we go before Judge Sharon Johnson Coleman in the Northern District of Illinois, you're going to have to explain all this. Okay? So, I know that there's probably going to be more attempts on my life now. Okay? It's bad enough that you are not being forthcoming with, what happened on July 19th, 2023. Okay? All this is just, accountability. Remember how you gave me all those yellow slips in school? Remember how you suspended me from the bus all those times? Okay? You were trying to teach me how to live smaller and smaller and smaller, right? Okay? Unfortunately, you'll never be better than my father at that. Okay, so we passed the 10-minute mark, and I know that that's going to make the file size a little bit bigger. But I just wanted you guys to know I'm of sound mind and body. You know, I still have faith in God. I'm very exhausted by it. I hate the fact that I have to keep saying that. It's so ridiculous and corny, especially when the tribe of people that I come from are so hypocritical about what they say versus what they do. I know that the creator of the universe does see what's happening here, and he can choose to engage supernaturally or not, but that's not going to determine how I view the world. Okay? When I give the Lord full authority over my life, he gets to say whether he intervenes or not. Frustrating for me, I know that, but if my mother was able to go through her life with that philosophy in mind, then I should at least attempt to try to do the same thing. Okay? Not because I'm a leader or anything like that, but just because I have a desire to be a sovereign citizen, and I don't believe that I need to succumb or kneel before this nonsense. Okay? So tomorrow, 2 p.m., we're going to try to get this all settled. We're not going to try any Supreme Court cases tomorrow. We're just going to say that, hey, we have a defective 5-day notice, and even if the judge refuses to hear that, we have a tenant direct check that we tried to deposit, that we tried to cure all these alleged arrears with, and, systemic interference prevented us from doing that. Okay? If I had T Mobile and 2 factor authentication, that would have been deposited via Fidelity. Okay? One United, it was too much. Chime, it was too much. And Cash to Go has a 10-day rule. Walmart has a systemic issue that it wouldn't do. So I walked for 2 hours just 2 days ago to try to get this done. I've done everything humanly possible that even a there's nothing that anybody else could have done. Okay? So, again, apologies for the length of this video, and apologies for not making it more funny. But, I pray that the Lord does make it funny because you guys deserve to laugh because this is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And those of you that are too cowardly to stand up to the corruption here, you should be ashamed of yourself. And I hope that the shoe is on the other foot at some point. Hopefully, a hero shoe. Okay? Have a great day.